I think we're live. God, I haven't played guitar. Feels good. Doing everything but playing guitar. Somebody remind me later to talk about replacing ABS sensors. We need to talk about changing out the ABS sensor. Seems pretty easy. I think I got this. How you doing? How was your week? Who do we got? We got Larry, Matt, Wendell, Christopher, Retro Buffer, more 10 guitar, Ian and Indy and Frank C and Yeti Motzi and Elvis D and Monochro Mechanic and Michael B. Too, and double R guitar, and Terry 3G. Yep, guitars have ABS sensors now. What's up, Speaker? And Speaker 2, and Zach H, and Michael, and Scrap Dog Yo. And Super Lead, Shreddy Murphy. And Trolls. How was your week? We were actually kind of cool around here this week, and then it just started heating up yesterday. At first the dry heat, but then today the humidity showed back up, at least for the start of the day, and then I think it started to burn off, but the ground is so dry there wasn't a lot of moisture to give off, you know, to keep the humidity going. How's Clampy doing? Clamp is holding for now. Don't jinx my clamp, bro. I mean, how many times have you heard that in your life? How do I like the D59? I really like it. Yeah, tone clamp does seem to be working. It's clamping them tones. The studio secrets the engineers won't tell you. Tone clamps. You wonder why they never bring it up? Well, now you know. Yeah, we're not getting rain from Aaron, but we're getting the heavy surf. They're really saying, don't go in the water. It's too choppy, and the riptides are unpredictable. They're really saying, just, you know, if you can be smart enough, like, just don't go in the water. I'll bet it looks crazy though. '40th anniversary of Ibanez Gym next year. Actually, technically, it's really 87 and 86. Do I think they're worth the money? You know, I don't know. It's a style thing. I owned a gem. I had one of the original green ones. Probably should have never sold it. I'd friggin' win the internet now. It'd be like, you know, making my trophy. You get a fever with gas syndrome? No. You get you get a blackout in your wallet. Your wallet blacks out. A boat sunk off of Newburyport. They're saying it's pretty choppy. I mean, we're not really seeing the effects of the storm other than some pretty choppy waters. Got some serious water chop going on here. What's up, Ken? What's up, Billy? Good evening, everyone. Wherever you are. Picked up new guitarist Kramer. BT211. Nice. Do little mixo for you there. I had gas this week, but not for anything guitar related. Not really. I mean, I check for new guitars like all the freaking time. Trust me, I'm always, and by new I mean used. I mean new guitars up on the used circuit. Always looking for the next treasure pluck, if you can find it. But no, I was looking at TVs this week for one reason. The TV that I like, the Hisense 8 series, which is their highest end series. Every year they come out with a new model. I have the H. They don't go in sequential order. The next one was the K, the 8K, then the 8N, and now the 8Q, right? So mine's a few years old, right? The H, and then the K, and then the N, and then the Q. That's the latest one. Mine's all the way back to the H. So, the N, which is last year's model, is being replaced with the Q. And as they do that, you know, the stock is starting to run out. Well, they're blowing them out. You know, the what's normally like $799 is $650, that's pretty damn good price on that TV. And it's got more dimming zones, and they made not on all the models, but on the one that I have to get, because I can only fit a 55-inch TV. I can't fit anything bigger. That's literally the biggest I can go. And even that's a stretch, jamming 55 in the space that I have. On that particular model, they changed the panel tech. Last year's panel tech, it's always been VA, vertical alignment. And this year, for the 55 and the 75, but not the 65 and the 85, again, who knows. But for the one I want, they changed the tech to ADR Pro. Now, ADR Pro has one distinct advantage over VA. It's got better viewing angle, so I can go side to side and the TV looks better. But it's just not quite as contrasty. The blacks don't get quite as black. They try to rely on dimming, local dimming, to sort of make that happen. So people say it's a bit of a step backwards. Other people say it's a step forwards, but it depends on the model. So I don't know. I didn't want the ADR Pro, so I said, well, maybe I'll pick up one of those VAs. last year's model. And they're blowing it out. It's still 2 models newer than mine. And so I wound up buying one off of Best Buy because the stock had been spotty, and it finally got back in stock with delivery in September. And I think they're sold out. I think they're gone. And so I get one, right? It's going to be delivered in early September. And I start reading the reviews, and they were not kind. I was like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer. So one of the things they look at is just just certain statistics that they can compare from TV to TV. And one of the things they do is accuracy. And my TV out of the box is one of the most accurate they've ever measured. It's a very accurate TV. So you don't have to mess with the controls. And the one I was getting was very inaccurate. And they're the whole way up it was too much brightness. I was its tracking was way off. It was a brutal takedown of the TV. And then the other thing I found out, and this wasn't this was probably quite a bit of it. On the front end, they have a suggest content mode and just apps only mode. And I only run an apps only because I don't want your suggested content. No thanks. On the new one, you can't turn that off. That's not optional. You're always going to get suggested content, which is just annoying as shit. So I canceled it. I was no. You know what? On second thought, I'm good. Between having to calibrate it and try to get that going, and the fact that you can't turn that on. And the one other thing, the TV I have, which again is 2 models old, is a semi-gloss panel, right? The new one is gloss, and I just didn't want the room reflections. So for those 3 reasons, I canceled. It's a bloatware. Oh no, I totally canceled it. Oh, it's canceled. I was no, you know what? No. You know what? Maybe I could just calibrate it, and that wouldn't be the end of the world. And I could get it going. In theory, it should be a better TV, right? It's got more, it's a higher brightness and more dimming zones. On paper, it should be better. But I was you know what? No. You know what? I don't want to. Yeah, right. Mother's TV looks blue. All the whites are bluish. Probably has the color temperature set too cold. Probably has it set to some sort of cold color temp. You might be able to fix that very quickly, actually. Yeah, they're saying there's a new RGB LED that will challenge OLED. Well, you know what? The micro LED is pretty good, right? Because it has, mine has 360 dimming zones. I think the new one, it's got 720. It's got double the dimming zones. Yeah, I think maybe 330 on mine and 660 on the newer one. But they always review the 65-inch. And this is another thing that sort of pisses me off about these TVs and their goddamn reviews. You find out that on a 55-inch TV, there's 660 dimming zones. On the 65-inch TV, just 10 inches more, there's 1,600 dimming zones. And you're like, there's almost a friggin' 1,000 more dimming zones for 10 inches more of diagonal space. And that is just, it's like, can't we get Like, can't you start with the 65 and we get like the number that would be on a 55 instead of 1600? Maybe it's 1400 or 1200 instead of friggin' six. It really does kind of piss you off that they're very different panels depending on the size you get. And I can tell you right now, everything I've seen about TVs, 65 is the panel they're targeting. Everything else is an afterthought. They're targeting 65, which sucks for me because I can't fit a 65 there. It's just too big. There's no way it's going to happen. Oh, you know what I want? Well, it's on my mind. I fixed the tape on this. Remember the tape was coming off? And it was sort of sticking up on this. Any guesses on how I fixed it? The clue: no additional adhesive was used. You know, I was looking at the Sony, I think it's the Bravia 7, maybe it's the Bravia 8. It's like the new one. It's about $1,000 for the 55, and it's OLED. So you know that shit is crisp. Oh, John Doe's got it almost right. I think a heat gun would melt it, John. I think that's actually too much heat. Hairdryer. Used a hairdryer. Yeah, heat. Exactly. I used heat. Heated it up with a hairdryer and then used, not this one, but I used the butt end of a screwdriver. It's actually a Craftsman that's that almost like Lexan material that's so clear. And it was like perfectly right. And it didn't have a seam. I was worried a seam might catch it and actually scrape it. I wanted something that was like glass. And the polishing they do on that Craftsman, it was like glass. So it was nice. And I just used that as a burnishing tool and burnished it in. It's been fine. I did that about 10 minutes after I shot that video. Which was last week. You hate OLED? You know, OLED has so many downsides. They say that there's it's not ADSR Pro. There's another one that's supposedly coming out that has all the promise of OLED without the burn-in. And I think on paper has a higher dynamic range, which sounds hard to believe. But I guess it's all about the gradient, right? How many individual gradations can you go? Makes a huge difference. Projector TV? It depends on the tech. So I have a projector in the attic that's LCD. And that's fine. A lot of people don't like DLP because DLP literally flashes 3 to 4 different images. And a wheel spins around with different colored segments. So it runs the light through an R, a G, and a B segment, and your brain assembles it. And it's true, though. It's true. It's just like any motion picture. If it goes fast enough, your brain discerns it as a single motion. And so they've added more segments. When it used to be fewer segments on the wheel, people saw rainbows. They say with more, but some people still get affected by it. Just like some people on some TVs get affected by the pulse width modulation of the LEDs. They're running about 7,500 hertz. Some people can see it. Yeah, DLP. That's why you had them. Digital light processing. Which is actually kind of crazy. The chip is basically mirrors. So what it does is it tilts the mirror And if it's fully blown up, you get like, and you had red, it would go through the red segment all the way up, and the other segments it tilts away, and they coat the underside with a light absorbing paint, right, to absorb it. It's actually got really good contrast. It's shocking how good the contrast can get, because LED has to do it by blocking the light from getting through, and you can only block it so much. The DLP does it by not reflecting it, by absorbing the light, and it seems to be more effective at higher contrast. I'll say this though, I sort of figured out very recently that, you know, what was it? I guess it's Dolby Atmos, whatever that TV, Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision always looked good. Dolby Vision, like just from day one, Dolby Vision always looked really good. HDR 10 and HDR 10 Plus, I mean, they look good. I mean, they had some things would really pop, but, you know, to be honest, it wasn't quite the same. And I wasn't really sure why. But I recently figured out that for HDR 10 and HDR 10 Plus, the secret to that is taking the contrast and putting it all the way to max and getting as bright a picture as you can. You can't blow it out. Even the brightest, most blown out scenes don't get blown out because it's under HDR mode and not SDR. So it looks, what it really winds up doing is bringing out all the shadow detail. And I was looking at a couple of, movies and scenes that I'm very familiar with on this exact TV, and my God, they look so much better. Just such a much better gradient between the brightest of the bright. I think before, I had the bright crushed too much, and it crushed all the dark shadows. Once I brought that up, it's like night and day. It's unbelievable. What a difference. Danelectro Hush X Pro with a very different guitars. You know, they're so different. Am I a fan of 3D? Think I should bring it back to TVs? You know, we never had. My dad was all in on that. He had an OLED 3D TV that looked spectacular. And, you know, he probably spent $3,000 on that friggin' thing. You know, I never really got it going here. And I think the attic projector is capable of it, and I'm pretty sure he gave me a set of glasses that probably have to have their batteries changed if they're not leaking. They're like 10 years old. But I never got it going. I don't really have a ton of 3D content. All the 3D content seemed to go away. Everyone thought it was the next big thing, and it kind of fizzled. People don't like to wear apparatus on their face, and some people, like what Ben Tom was getting with the DLP, some people were getting with the, like I say, they have to work two different images to give you a stereoscopic, right? They're only displaying one image at a time unless you're wearing goggles that breaks out each eye. But, right, that's how they do it. They're playing two different images, and you're seeing two different images based on the glasses you're wearing. And it gave people headaches. Extra crispy, like a KFC. When you're ready for KFC, extra crispy. Danelectro. What is this patch? This is a contemporary blues. What's this? That's a Carvin Legacy. Needs a compressor or something. What's that now? A little better. I'm just saying, if Dave Mustaine were alive today, probably be playing the Danelectro. Too much noise, though. Wait a second. What about... What if we took that, just thinking outside the box here for a second, and we added the doubler? I think it's there. Diminished. I actually kind of like that. I might leave that. You guys been checking any of the Joe Perry project out? So it's Joe and Brad. It's Joe Perry, Brad Whitford. What's his name there? The singer for the Black Crowes there. You know, that guy. He's always singing. The Black Crowes. It's the guitar player's brother. Is it Chris Robinson? Richard's brother. And then, I feel like did they have someone else famous in the band? Or was that just it? Yeah, Chris Robinson, yeah. Gonna hit that. Dan, listen to the Rick Beato AI generated indie song. I have to come out with a video entitled, like, you know, have a face like, you know, like this has to stop. I speak, of course, of people glomming on to hit videos, agreeing with the person in the first hit video. How many brave souls has come out this week and said, God damn it, Rick Beato's right? Having to picture Rick Beato in their friggin' thumbnail. Oh, the jackals. So I have to make a video that says that they're right about being right about Rick Beato. Justin Hawkins, this needs to stop. Yeah, that's the economy we're in now. The glom on. It's a glom economy. Exactly. I'm no longer Steve from Boston. I'm now Beato from Boston. Exactly. Inception videos. Exactly. Oh my God, the AI South Park this week. You know, sure, would you like me to help with that? I think we need to see a marriage counselor. You know, I just don't think she's listening to me. What do you think? I think you have some really great ideas. I think we need to work with that. Which is a goof on the fact that the new version of ChatGPT wasn't as flattering. It's Steve about a Danelectro Walnut Divine 59. Oh, nice. That's watching Guitar of the Week. Being a sweet. Awesome, dude. Glad to hear it. Glad it's working out for you. We're going to keep the Dano. No, I can't keep the Dano. These are all loners, unfortunately. I like this one a lot, though. Wish I had more time this week to play guitar. It's been a tricky week, but I haven't even done Monday's video yet. I got 2 guitars to choose from. I gotta figure out what am I gonna do. Do I want one that's more bright and colorful, or something a little darker and moody? This is what I have to deal with every week. Something like time for fun working on the house before the snow flies. Yeah, we're finally cooled off. I started to do, yard projects. I've got a bunch of huge projects, that have to get done this fall. Neck feels good. It's not it's actually a fairly comfortable neck. It's not a, you worry about with vintage style guitars that they're going to have a vintage style big old chonky neck, but it doesn't. This is like a Fender medium C. I mean, a small C, really. Modern C. I don't even think they'll use the word small. All right, let's check out. It's usually about half past the hour. I like to check out the old guitars online based on the title. Just off the top of mind, PRS, I believe. He's got some new colors. Is it not on the main page now? We covered the new Silver Sky colors last week, but I thought I got an email this week telling, oh yeah, there it is. Posted August 19th. I thought there was something this week. Posted August 19th. The 40th anniversary custom 24 satin limited edition. And I've just got some new satin. You know me. I'm not a big fan of satin guitars. I think they get hot spots where you come in contact with them. It does look good, though. Got to admit, it's a good-looking guitar. Old school birds with outlines and fretboard. Is ebony, patterned thin. I mean, I like the specs. I just probably want to gloss it up. Didn't have the colors? I already go past the colors? Maybe I did. Could have sworn they had a... Oh yeah, there it is. One more here. Oh, 500. All right. Oh, it's a limited edition. There we go. A little bit about it. Satin nitro, blah, blah, blah. DMO, blah, blah, blah. Controls, blah, blah, blah. Colors, there you go. You got your charcoal. I like that, actually. I kind of like the look of that. The tricolor burst. Charcoal tricolor. Hey, that's nice, too. Again, I sort of like the edge on it. Maybe versus something like that, which has no edge on it, right? Probably looks a little smaller in person because of the optical illusion of having that dark edge, but yeah, so a little bit of an edge, no edge. It's got a black edge, no edge. So two of the colors, no sunburst-ish sort of look, where these have the. I think I like this one. I like the tricolor. I mean, of these 5 colors, I'm going this one. I think I like that one best. Yeah, it's just related products. That's not the. All right. A little bit on how the controls work. Okay. PRS Gibson. Now, I got an email from Gibson. Is it a new color? Because I could have sworn they announced this. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, damn. Why, Gibson? Why? Oh, no. Oh, dear. They've had a site redesign. That's usually, oh God, no. Why, God, why? Yeah, it's basically they've gone just, it looked like they merged the store. See, this, is it by, no, it's by newest first. There they are. These are them. So I could have sworn the double trebles had been around for a while. Maybe they added more colors? But I could have sworn double treble, and is the double treble, and I think I made this joke the last time these came up, ceased and desist? Because I'm pretty sure DiMarzio owns double the trademark on pickups that look like that. Oh my God, that's, there's no, yeah, site redesign, bro. Bro. I don't like it. I like your old site better. I can't leave it alone. They can't leave it alone. Looks good, though. You know, I mean, you could get, which one? Bourbon Burst. You got 2 vintage Bourbon Bursts. That's it. You can get that one. Then you can go, Ace Frehley lead guitar. I'm just saying. It's looking a little bit Ace. Little Ace-ish. A little bit. Some people are talking. A little bit. Of course, his was a custom, but close enough. What are they? 2,500, 2,800. For now. My prediction is that guitars are going to continue to rise. Oop, not price. I meant to do newest. Yeah. In fact, I just started to see it. That Intel chip I bought a few weeks ago, I paid $259. I did a build for someone a couple weeks ago. They paid $279. Today, if you went to go buy that chip, again, just a couple of weeks later, $309. So since I bought mine in July, and now at the end of August 23rd, it's up $50. All right. Squier. That was the other one. Do. Ba-da-dee-dee-dee-dee. Boy, they don't make it easy, do they? They really don't. They really friggin' don't. Okay, here's... Is this one of the new ones? Yeah, this is one of the new ones. Alright. Is this one of the new ones? It is. Okay, I'll open that in a new tab. And this. Which a good looking guitar. And that's it. The rest I think are web exclusives and not new material. Right? As I work backwards in time. Yeah, okay. So, these are the new... Yeah, this is under the coming soon part of the website. What looks to be like a sort of a modded 70 Strat, right, with a humbucker. Ooh, and it's a hardtail. Interesting. So a hardtail 70 Strat. That's interesting. 70 Strat with a humbucker. Any okay, and what's the other color? Mocha. I think I like the white better. Very 70s, that's for sure. Mocha was a thing in the 70s. Another hardtail. All right, interesting. Interesting, but they're not. Yeah, it's the old school. It's not the 70s style. All right, what was the other one? The custom Squier. That's not, I just don't like one pickup guitars. I've discovered that about myself. I'm not a fan. First thing I'd want to do is stick a big friggin' neck pickup into it. I'm just not a fan. Nice looking guitar though. I like the custom. I like the binding. I just want two pickups. Good looking guitar though. Just functionally it would make me mental. I'd always be looking to switch to that neck pickup. It'd be making me crazy. Making me crazy. So, no on that. And what do we got here? A 50s hardtail. Boy, they're all in on the hardtails, huh? Not bad. I don't know if I'm crazy about the pink, though. Let's see, do they have an alternate color? Yeah. Surf green. Yeah. Nice hardtail. My Strat from the 70s was a hardtail. I had a 73 hardtail, 72 or 73, which I bought in 1980. No, actually 81. Wasn't even 10 years old when I bought it. Nice color. Cool, all right. And so on. Oh. Until I was a long way to get back in the game, not based on the last processor I got, dude. My benchmarks are killing it. Absolutely killing it. It's running 50% faster than my, and now I realize it's an older chip, but an AMD 5950, which is a 16 core 32 thread, because that multi-threading can't make up. The Intel is 20 cores, but there's no multi-threading. They're all real cores. And those Skymont cores are twice as fast as those Gracemont ones. So this friggin' Ultra 2 chip has changed my mind about Intel. I think Intel, you know, I'm sure for gaming, that extra cash, but Intel, they're talking about the double D, right? The, what do they call that? It's the enlarged third level, right? So level 3 cache. They're talking about making it 200 megs, which would be a mass. It would be just a little bit more than what AMD is doing. Little one-upsmanship. So, we'll see. But my benchmarks, my Intel Ultra has been killing it. It's been amazing. What I'm not crazy about is the government, you know, buying into Intel. It just reeks of socialism. Really, the government's going to take a buy-in on the share? The government is going to come in on a private company? And, right, I realize it's non-controlling shares, but I just think that it's, you know, can you imagine really any other person coming out and saying, yeah, we're taking over 10% of Intel? They'd be howling. They'd be freaking out. The business markets would be freaking out. But now they're like, oh, I guess that's okay. Really? Now, I want Intel to stick around. I want Intel to last, but I want to do it through sales, not a government infusion. You know, it's like, come up with, there's no incentive to make a better product if the government is feeding them money. So what are you doing? What are you doing? I just think it's there's a disincentive. You know, their back is against the wall. I think they're going to come out with better and better chips because they have to. If they don't, they're sunk. Unless you feed them a bunch of freaking cash. So, you still got a few powered by Pentium stickers around here? Yeah, I found, believe it or not, another 200 CDs. And started going through them. My God, how many installs of friggin' Mandrake, Red Hat, and friggin' what was the other one? Ubuntu that I have. God, I'm sure one was like Ubuntu 3. How long ago was that? 25 years? I might have had Corel. I probably did have a copy of it. Man. Yeah, those discs are friggin' old. And I'm really getting into like Windows 98 Second Edition, Windows 2000. I had codename Memphis. And I think I had. So I forget which one was Chicago. Was that 95? And Memphis was 98. And I had another. Geez, I can't even think of it now. Yeah, Mandrake. How old is that? Because the real magician Mandrake sued them and won, and they changed their name to Mandriva. And people said CDs wouldn't last. It's so funny you say that because some of the CDs, they're of varying quality. So one of the brands of CDs, the edges of the CD you can see. I don't think it was ever in the window, but I think it was under fluorescent lighting, and the fluorescent lighting has, like an old light, faded poster. It's light faded at the edge, and those are unreadable. You can literally see where the edge just comes in and then fades to dark. And some of them, the coating for the laser is the coating on that other side of the disc, and it's flaked off. There's flakes of data missing. It's the coating. It just depends on who made it. The coating is flaked off, and others are just absolutely perfect. So it really just depends on who made the disc and the quality of the product they were putting out. What's up, Mark? Exactly like a delamination. So I'm just sort of going through those, seeing if there's any data on there to dump off. And then I'll run them through my my paper shredder, which doesn't really shred it, but it tears them up enough. They're unreadable. ripping some old CDs. Nice. To get higher quality files. So when I ripped my CDs 20 years ago, I ripped them at between like 250 and 320, because I said, you know what, the one thing that's going to be a lot cheaper in the future is storage. So what am I, just suck it up now. And of course at the time it was like 60 gigs worth of data. But now 60 gigs worth of data I can put on a thumb drive. Yeah, shredded. We used to pay this company. They had a chipper on the ass end of a big truck, and they'd chip it. They'd run it through the chipper right there in front of you. You could put anything through it, paper clips, even the big binder clips, like nothing, like right through it. So they would they'd go down there and run so much through that friggin' chipper shredder. You could hear it outside. Big truck outside. Yeah, 128. That's what my friend was doing. He was doing a 128K. I'm like, 128K. I'm like, I can hear the difference. I think that I don't really. To me, it starts to get good around 192, but really 256. So I'm doing, and all the stuff I really like, all my favorite stuff, I'm doing friggin' 320. I'm maxing out. And he's like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, you know what? In the future, storage will be a lot cheaper. And I was definitely right about that. A lot cheaper. Too soon to talk about ABS sensor replacements? So my daughter's car, the ABS light has been lighting up. I think she needs the sensors replaced. Now, from what I can see, you can jack it up, take the tire, pull the tire off, and behind the brake assembly is the ABS sensor. And you unplug it. It's a star bolt. You get a little ratchet, unratchet the star bolt, out comes the sensor. You put the new sensor in, star bolt goes back in, get the star bolt back bolted down again, and then plug it back in, reattach the wheel, and you're good to go. So if you've ever done them, let me know, but I think that it's literally that easy. It's like a single sensor that goes on the back of the caliper assembly. It's like literally the back of the disc assembly. And they're slightly different shapes, front and rear. And a set of 4, I want to say is $28. So not very expensive. What's up, Mike? So I've got to do it on my daughter's Ford Escape. Willie says it's a Torque said. Yeah. Torque said. I got a ton of Torx heads, and, you know, I've got extensive ratchets and all that. I don't think they have to be tightened down to a spec. I think you just got to tighten them back down. I'm sure if you look at a video, someone's going to tighten it down to like certain pounds per square inch that they're pulling out of a manual, but you can just pull that out of your ass too. Right? I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, that same guy was using a large torque wrench to get 100 pounds per lug, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I know how to tighten down a lug, and I'm not worried about it. It is that easy. Don't be intimidated and pay someone else to do it. Yeah, see, that's what I always try to attempt it myself, because I'm like, how hard can this possibly be? And sometimes I've looked at, like, you know, replacing a water pump or you know, an alternator, and going, oh shit, that actually looks harder than I thought it was going to be. Maybe not so much the alternator, but the water pump for sure. Giant pain in the ass. But, you know, this seems pretty easy. You know, can't be any harder than changing out the pads, right? Compressing calipers, changing out pads, throwing 4 new rotors on that you bought down at the local store. Had a Danelectro sold a couple years ago. Supposed to be part of a surf band. Sure. Had a certain look. Right. Didn't happen. It just sat in the gig bag right needing special one-time tools stops you sometimes. Absolutely. Like, oh my God, this tool's going to cost me as much as the, you know. No, I hear you. I wonder, I mean, I'd like to think, yeah, getting to the device without having to assemble the whole car is a bonus, yeah. And I've got a full-on, you know, floor jack, you know, like a real floor jack, not, you know, not some, it's like an aluminum. It's nice. It's rapid jack. I've got the, you know, the whatchamacallits there, the jack stands, you know, for safety. That should be good. But she's got it going on, and it causes the car to hesitate when you first take off, as it's like seemingly applying the brakes as it's figuring it out. They're like, yeah, you got a problem here. So, I think I got it. I think I got it. Yeah. Ever played a Danelectro baritone? You know, I might have, maybe at the NAMM show briefly. They're a little bit bigger. They do kind of feel like a bass because the neck is longer. And the strings are tuned a little bit lower, you know. So it does feel a little weird. But it's cool, you know. I've looked at baritones. It's sort of a nice way to get into a lower tone without getting into a 7-string, which I don't like the width of the neck on a 7-string. I'd actually prefer the lower tones by using a baritone. That is good. Oh. Now, the rotors aren't warped. Usually if I No, it's definitely her ABS, because she's getting all kinds of warnings about the ABS system. Her ABS light is on. They're telling her her anti-skid isn't working correctly. And if you look up that error, they basically say, well, the first thing I'd do is change the sensors, because that's the cheapest thing you can do. Just change out all 4 sensors. And so I think that's my plan. I already ordered them. They're like $28. They'll be here on Monday. So I'm thinking I got this. I literally have a full-size tank compressor in the garage. I got the zip gun. No, I've stocked up. I've stocked up on the tools in the last few years. Baritones are great with alternate open tunings. Yeah, I've heard they're pretty cool. I think that is what they use on Back in the Saddle, right? I think, because I said, it's kind of a weird tune. And my friend goes, well, they're playing it on a baritone. I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. Okay, all right, there you go. He goes, yeah, it's a baritone. He goes, they're probably using a lot more open notes than, wait. I go, yeah, it's kind of a weird run. He goes, yeah. He goes, no, it's baritone. Steve, ever think about piano guitars on the way back that help build your channel? Yeah, you know what? I'm actually in the middle of a project with that. Right now, they're up on plastic shelving, which isn't very, it's sturdy enough, but I'm not crazy about it. What I really want to do is just build a rack out of 2x4s. So I've got to go to Home Depot, pick up. I've already started doing the math on it. I have to get like 4 10-footers and like 8 8-footers. And believe it or not, I think I have 3 or 4 sheets left over from making the out in the garage of plywood, 3/4-inch plywood that's plenty wide enough from the trailer. Right, cutting off the trailer, so I can just use that plywood for the flooring, and I'm just gonna set up like a rack in the back. I think it'll be so much sturdier than what's there now. And with a little bit of engineering, I can make it 2 shelves. In other words, a shelf for the guitars that's a good foot off the ground, maybe 18 inches, so I can get something underneath it, put boxes underneath if I have to. And then it goes up for 4 feet, 4.5 feet, and then another shelf so I can put stuff up on the top too, and really like fill that area in. So we'll see. We'll see what I can get going here. I have to actually use the trailer because the wood is just too big to take back on, with my with the SUV. I could maybe get it attached to the roof rack and ratchet it down with some ratchet, but I'd rather just throw it in the back of the trailer. I think that'll be the easiest way to do it. I see off topic, my DVD on your computer plays and writes CDs, but not play or write any DVDs. Are you sure it's a DVD and not just a CD? You positive that's DVD? Right, because for the early ones were just CD and not DVD. If it won't play any commercial DVD, sometimes that's because you don't have the license for it. Believe it or not, there's like some tech that requires some licensing. I don't know if Microsoft stopped licensing it. Like, in other words, you might have to get like something like MPC, the old Windows player that was open source. They stopped working on it in, I think, 2015, and then the individual modules stopped getting worked on in 2017, but someone took it up again, and they're back to open sourcing it, and everything's been updated, all the lav filters and everything. So it should have everything necessary to play back a DVD. So if your player can play a DVD, I just down like Media Player MPC. Yeah, it could be region-specific DVD too. Yeah, that absolutely. I do. My garage is detached. I have a detached garage. Might have to reset or erase the ABS error codes after installing. No problem. I have a I have one of those. I can plug it in. It'll tell me the codes that are up, and I think I have an option to clear the codes. The problem is that you know how that goes. If you clear the codes and the codes really aren't cleared, if you still have an they just come right back again. And they're not cleared if you go to get a sticker. In other words, they still show up on the was it OBD, OBC, OBCD, ADHD. It's a play. Okay, so it plays DVDs. It tries one that you burned in other drives. Okay, but it just won't play ones that are burned in another drive? That's interesting. You wonder if they were not finalized. In other words, your old system can keep the data necessary to keep reading it until you get to a final port where you have to finalize it. If it wasn't finalized, it will only play on that system until finalized. Then you can't write to it any longer, but it can be read on any other machine. Yeah, OBD2, thank you. Yeah, I got a couple of those. I had a car that had a check engine light on. Now, the car was so old that they weren't even going to plug in and check it. And I could get the engine light to go out for maybe an hour or two, or maybe like a couple of starts, and then it would come back on. But it would take a little bit. You'd have to drive a few miles before it came back on again. So I remember going to get the last inspection sticker I got. I pulled into a parking lot like right down the street from the place, plugged in my unit, cleared the code, and drove down, pulled in, got the sticker. They didn't have to plug it in and check it, but at least the light was out, my whole thing about when you take a car for a sticker, and I remember taking that Impala. It was in such bad shape. I vacuumed out the whole inside, put like an air freshener in it, and drove through the car wash before I went for the sticker. Make it look like you're putting a little bit into the car, and it's not a shit box. And he passed me. It's supposed to play DVDs, but it does not. So, and have you got any DVDs to play in it at all? Like, in other words, can you get one that's, off the shelf from a store to play, but a DVD that you burned is the only one that's not running? This is me on the phone. Okay, so what happens when you put a regular DVD in it? Does it run? No? Okay, well then there's an issue. The regular DVD runs, but the one that you burn doesn't run? Well, that's a whole different issue. It differs about 350 miles before the system reads all the feedbacks. I feel like it's shorter. I feel it's more like 7 or 8 miles. But I know what you're saying for all the codes. It depends on the code. Some codes have longer mileage. You think the sticker scam is bad now? You should have seen it when we used to have to ride up on the goddamn dynamometers. What a nightmare. How many cars destroyed? How many businesses destroyed when cars fell off those friggin' dynamometers? What? I have no idea. But now, you want to talk about Big Brother? Now, there's a live video cam at the front that video cams the entire process. And they also have a digital camera that's Wi-Fi connected to the sticker machine, and they have to take a photograph of your license plate, your mileage, and I think your VIN number, the one on the inside of the door with the barcode. They take those 3 photographs every single time, and those get a part of your profile. Tried all types of DVDs, store-bought. Well, it sounds like it's a bad unit then. You know, if it's a DVD player and it won't read even store-bought DVDs, that sounds like a bad unit. Well, forget DVD. Remember DivX? The disc rental? What a nightmare. You'd get a disc, you'd put it in, it had to call out over the phone to say, like, okay, this guy's watching this video now. And it would count on a clock. It would set a timer. You had only so many hours you could watch the video, like 3 days, 72 hours. And then that was it. Couldn't watch the video any longer. It was over. Now it's time for a landfill. So it was very environmentally unfriendly. But the bottom line is that, you know, content creators want you to pay per view. They don't want to sell you a movie one time and let you watch it a dozen times or 100 times. They literally want to get paid every single viewing. Right? If they could find a way to charge you for every single time you listen to a song, they'd do that. Right? They literally, for every single consumption, they'd want a payment. But they just never really figured out a system. I guess the closest we've gotten to that is streaming, but even streaming isn't a la carte. Right? You don't pay like 2 cents to listen to a song once. Yeah, you had a DivX DVD player that had that built in. Well, that's what that. Ironically, they used DivX as the name for the like pirated media code that they used to rip DVDs. Right? You'd store it in like DivX format, which was, you know, the joke wasn't lost on a lot of people. A little tough to get up there. The laser for the DVDs might be bad. Yeah, right. So the laser probably has 2 different lasers, right? And the one that bounces, because it's a larger beam. The larger beam that can bounce off of the CD is working, but the smaller laser for the DVD, which puts out a much smaller beam, that one's probably malfunctioning. Yeah, no, DivX was like a pirated compression routine. Oh, the irony. They took the most hated thing and they made it the most loved thing. Because it was a way to rip off friggin' DVDs. Didn't the old school LP size Laserdisc have dual lasers in it? You know, I forget about that. I don't know how they were doing it. I felt like the old Laserdisc, somehow it was an analog. It wasn't a digital picture. I don't know how that worked. But it was digital audio, and they could get the full. It was like one of the few ways you could get like Dolby Digital 5.1. And some people were buying those old Star Wars discs just to get like the incredible sound, the 5.1 sound, the audio that you couldn't get. And it was a little bit better picture than videotape, but it still was a little mushy compared to DVD. DVD was the first full-on, MPEG, And the real early discs, I don't even know how. Remember the ones that had the had like a jacket built in? I'm talking like late 70s, early 80s. Before the laser discs like of the like the early 90s, right? I have a whole bunch of laser discs around here somewhere. I had oh my God, the laser discs I had. They say that was like one of the biggest clutters in people's homes, media storage, between albums, CDs, video cassettes, in terms of just like cluttering possessions. Media was one of the biggest ones. But that's gone away, right? It's all gone streaming or on some sort of storage disc. Yeah, video discs, laser disc. Yeah, see, I thought so. Laserdisc is not fully digital. It stores an analog video signal. Yeah. So in theory, it should have been a little bit better, but really only on the audio. The video was still not, I forget. There may have been advances where you could get, I don't even know if you were getting component video out at that point. I think it was just S video. But even that, even breaking up the luminance and the chrominance, made a huge difference in the output. It got rid of a lot of noise. It really did. I remember when we first had HD TV. I had an HD TV up in the living room, and the kids were real little. I forget what this was. It's probably the 2007, 2008, somewhere in 2009. And we were still on analog, or, we had just switched to like a digital Comcast. And man, was it compressed and mushy. It just looked horrible. And I got out an old rabbit ear TV antenna, and I put it on the back of that TV. And it was Saturday night, and they were playing a Shark Tale, right? It's like a computer animated movie. And I was going back and forth between the cable feed and the over-the-air HD feed, and it was like night and day. That high-def feed over the air looked light years better than that cable feed. I mean, it wasn't even close. What a joke that cable feed. It was almost painful to go back to it after watching it on the over-the-air. The over-the-air was just spectacular. Unbelievable. So it had 425 to 440 lines, right there. I doubled that of it, right? So yeah, so it was like a higher. It was still analog, but it was higher res. I'm gonna switch out a DVD from one of your computers and see what happens. Yeah, you can just get an external USB one. I think I paid like 12 or 13 bucks for that thing, and it's been working great. I don't even know if they do internal ones anymore. They might not. Got our first DVD. Parents remember they got running water. Well, running water was a thing. Telephones. A lot of people didn't have telephones. People into the 70s still didn't have telephones. It's a monthly bill. It wasn't cheap. That was probably one of the earlier things that took a while to get fully adopted. We had the pet store. The guy next door in the apartment had a heart attack. His kids came in. Can we use your phone? And my mother's like, it's not a public phone. They go, my dad just had a heart attack. She was like, oh my God. She called 911. And the fire department took him out. Ambulance took him out on a stretcher. I don't know if he made it. But they literally had to run next door to our store. Good thing he had a heart attack during the day. I don't know what they would have done at night. Do they really? They still sell the internal ones? Crazy. So we're in a bit of a hot spell. It warmed up yesterday, but it was kind of a dry heat. Got more humid today. But the humidity, I think, sort of backed off in the afternoon. Now they're saying again, hot tomorrow. And I think Monday and maybe Tuesday. And then I think it crashes down Wednesday. Back to earth. At or below seasonable temps. So we'll see. Which patch is this? I think this is that. Yeah, Blue Brit. Blue Brit. Driver used to come with Nero burning software. Yeah, but Windows has burning software built right into it now. Now Windows itself can burn the CDs and DVDs. In fact, some of the DVDs I got, were blank. They're like, do you want to format it? Do you want to, what do you want to do with this disc? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll just pop it back out. I know it's blank. I have a whole just stack of blanks going. I probably got friggin' 50 blanks at least. Man, 106 in AZ, huh? Wow, that's crazy. Blu-ray burners are still up there, though, huh? 100 to 200? 90% of ABS sensors are sticking so hard in that hole that you have to destroy them completely to get them out. Oh, wow. All right. I'll see what I can do. Will I ruin it if I hit it with some WD-40? I mean, I don't know. To try to break it out of there? You're supposed to keep, I don't know. For the internal drives, yeah. Now, you wonder if it's a little cheaper for an external. It's just people that know that if you want an internal one, that they've got you. And so, like trying to get a 16 gig, DDR3 chip. It's a nightmare. You can get an 8 gig all day. You want a 16 gig DDR3 for a laptop, and it's like triple, quadruple, because there's very few out there, and everyone's just gouging. A little bit of brake clean, yeah. I think they're plastic, so it's not like, I don't think you can put a torch on them or anything. And I think it's just like literally just a hole, and the sensor reads the disc as it's going around. There's probably a magnet, right? A magnetic part that as it goes around, it lets it know that the wheel's rotating. And if it doesn't go around and it doesn't rotate, it knows that the wheel is locked up. So it relaxes the brake, right? It lets off on the brake to allow the wheel to turn so you don't go into a skid. I got to think that's how it works. You try with WD-40, most of the times you have to destroy them. All right. Brake clean and wipe it SAP so it doesn't melt. Yeah. Really? $150 to $250 for an external? Wow, that's crazy. I've never owned a Blu-ray player. Never had one. Never bought a separate one, and I never owned a PlayStation 3, which I think came with a Blu-ray, right? And the PlayStation 4, they both were Blu-ray. Never owned one. I have been looking at projectors for the attic, though. The one that's up there now is an Epson, let's say like 3020 or 3050, something like that, from 2013 or 2014. It's pretty old. It's 1080p, but it's old. Thinking about switching that up for something just a little bit newer, something made in the last, say, 3 years. I'd probably still stick with Epson and probably still stick with LCD. You got a PS4, it's Blu-ray. Yeah. I think the PS3 and the 4 were both Blu-ray. If you got the 4 with the disc drive, right, you can get a digital-only edition, I think. like the pickups in this. I think they sound good. And, you know, the core of it is wood. The masonite is just the top and the back. Over a, I think they said it was poplar. I think Billy Idol's playing out at Great Woods tonight. Not a bad night for a show. And I think the Who are playing Fenway next week. Sounds like a good show. So we'll see what's up this week. I know one thing I'm doing this week, and that is putting 4 new ABS sensors on that on that Ford. I think she's going away on like Tuesday or Wednesday, so I'll get it done like tomorrow or Monday. Well, you know what? Here's the thing about the Who's farewell tour. I kind of believe him because they were talking with Roger Daltrey and they were kind of kidding him, and he's like, yeah, he goes, but the reality is that I'm 81 years old and I'm just sick of touring. He goes, so I don't see it. You know, you got to have some years without touring. And he goes, we've been touring and touring like forever. He goes, this really is the end. Yeah, I saw the Who in 99 and 89. And you know, it would have been better if the dude like a couple of rows behind us wasn't, you know, yelling out every lyric of every song. Like, it's like, dude, will you shut up? No one wants to hear you. Oh, I'm glad I paid $45 to see this is back then, to see the show, to listen to you sing every word. But it's like people they're so self-absorbed. It's like, goddamn, just shut up. Walking for the game. It's like, oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, you know the lyrics. Oh, good. Well, you must be some sort of super fan. I mean, seriously. It's why I can't go to shows. People. Yeah, Foxborough. And they were louder in the first half. I guess there were the complaints from the town. I thought the Stones were so much louder. But apparently the town didn't mind that. I guess they got complaints. They turned it down for the second half. And man, that dude behind me, he just could not shut up. Like every single tune, every single word. I'm going to sing along to every song because I know every word. That's what you're dealing with, all right? I'm not, it's like borderline retard. I don't know about borderline. Exactly, that's why Satriani shows are good. One of the worst was we went to go see James Taylor, and there was this broad behind us. The most loudmouth, bubble-headed, bleach blonde you ever saw in your life. You know, Billy, what are you doing with the beer? And I'm like, and so I said, well, she'll calm down when the music it's going. She's tired, blah blah blah. Finally, I turn around, I'm like, are you gonna shut up? She's like, what? I'm like, I literally can't hear the show. Oh, you can't hear the show? Oh, what? You can't hear the show? I mean, that's what you're dealing with. We wound up leaving and going up to the lawn where it was much quieter. And the best part of that show was that is the second his main set ended and he was going to come back for the encore, they left because they didn't want to wait in the traffic. And we finally got to see the last like 4 or 5 songs in peace from this friggin' woman. The most belligerent, loudmouth, airhead. I mean, just the worst. I don't bear fools gladly. I can't do it. Can't do it. So I can't work in retail. Like, you know, it's like I'm living in a goddamn sea of dummies. But it was good out on the lawn. It was quieter. Much quieter, actually. If you're touring with 81, you forget the coffee, yeah. Yeah, you know, 81 years old. He's been touring for, what, 60 years? That's a long time. Now, I had a friend who saw them recently and said he thought Roger Daltrey sounded amazing. It sounded like just really, really incredible. He goes, and he was clearly singing. He had like a couple of weak spots, but for the most part, he goes, he was belting out those tunes. He goes, took him a couple songs to get going, you know, a little tough to start. He said, but he caught his stride. He goes, you listen to this guy, probably at the time he was 78 or 79. And he was like, man, just amazing. "50% of the people are below average," yeah. Well, you'd be lucky if it's 50%. All it's doing is just lowering the average. Blackmore canceled his European tour. Yeah, not in good health. Yeah. Gout will knock you out. Make it impossible to walk. Right? And gout is, I've never had it, but I know people that have had it, and they said it's just like extremely painful. And it's like crystals on your bones, right? Incredible. Like you grow sharp crystals on the bones, and it's incredibly, incredibly painful. Well, hopefully, you know, I'm sure the Who will make a video, put out some sort of a final tour, video release. I would hope. I would think. We'll see. Nice chime on this guitar. Do-do-do. Gals caused by drinking cheap beer. No, I think it's uric acid, right? Which some people are just susceptible to having it build up in them. So certain foods like really trigger it. And they said it was like rich man's disease because they thought it was all fatty foods, but it's really related to uric acid. So let me see. This week I got Monday's video coming out. I might have a second video this week. I've been trying to work on a video for the teleport, but I'm really not set up here to shoot effects videos. I don't really do very many, maybe one a year, if that. So it's just been a little tricky to even just to get, because my cameras are sort of fixed. And every time I move them, I regret it. So I don't want to move those. I got to find another way. You know what? I might just use these webcams. They're 4K. They look pretty good. Good enough. I can probably mount this one up a little bit higher. And then have it come down and look at the pedal. So whether or not I can reverse the image. Do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, 5 minutes, man, it freaking flew by. Though my watch and my computer are a little bit off here. What's that? Was it running a little fast? Running a little bit fast. The D looks like Duesenberg. And the, oh yeah. Who's an older brand though? Danelectro or Duesenberg? To be honest, I don't know, because I don't know much about Duesenberg. I know Danelectro has been around for a long time. At least since the 60s? Maybe earlier? I don't know. How's Buddy Cat? Buddy Cat's doing good. he was a little, yeah, he's not over there anymore. A little lonely today because everyone was out except for me. But he likes a full house. He's a thirsty cat, let me tell you. And but no, he's been good. But he's a good cat. Pain in the ass, but a good cat. So next week, I'll let you know how my ABS sensor change goes. I'm hoping fairly easy. It's not that old of a car, you know. It's a 2016. So 9 years. Yeah, they could be stuck in there. We'll see. Oh, man. Whew. So I got a new guitar of the week coming out on Monday. And I think that might be it this week. I mean, maybe Thursday I'll get that teleport video out, but I can't. A little tricky shooting that particular content, just because of the Well, you want to get a camera like on the. It's easy just to shoot me and the 3 cams. It's harder to shoot the pedal. You want a shot of the product. That's where I think these will be, I think, better. What's on my mixer? Tone clamp. It's a tone clamp. Thanks, Retro Puffer. The Retro Puffer knows. Let me know if you need a hand with the ABS sensors. Yeah, I'll let you know. I think I got it. Sure. What could go wrong? The jack falls, the friggin' car falls on my leg, breaking my other leg. Now I have 2 broken legs. Sure. I mean, it could happen. All right, guys, 9 o'clock. Time to wrap it up. You guys have a wonderful week. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. Brofist to my mod squad. Everybody's awesome. We'll see you all next week. We'll do it all over again. I'll have the guitar of the week next week. And, yeah. I got to think about which one I'm going to do. I think I've made my decision. I think I know which one I'm going to go with. I think I'm going with the more colorful one. I'm feeling that way. Although this was a very colorful one. Do I go for the more moody one than the colorful one? This was I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. I think I'm going color. All right. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll do it all again in a week. And until then, have a great week. And I'll see y'all next week. And we'll do it then. No weeks off. Remember that. That's my policy around here. No weeks off. All right. You guys have a great week.